So let's jump into the first one that I think a lot of people are facing right now, and a lot of people have faced. It's student loans. It's no surprise that the cost of higher education has increased, and so the proliferation of student loans being present and being a struggle that young people or recent graduates or even folks who are not so recent graduates are having to fight with is a reality in today's society.
Education's noble, so it breaks my heart that half of recent college graduates actually report experience additional anxiety over their student loans.
It's hard enough to just think about getting out into the real world, getting a job, starting in your career. Those are all anxiety-inducing things anyways. And when you strap on this huge financial burden along with that, it just makes the journey that much more difficult.
Some of the things, just setting the ground rules for how all the decisions today, we want everybody to know, if you're trying to figure out what to do with your next dollar, how to make good decisions, we love the financial order of operations. We love thinking about what you can do to maximize your wealth building journey. But Bo, I'd love for us to go a step further now and kind of talk through what is the average American doing and what do we think Manny the Mutant would do differently?
So let's assume that both of these individuals graduate with the average amount of student loan debt presently in this country, which just happens to be $29,400. And let's assume that they both have the same interest rate on that student loan debt at 4%. When we think about average Allen, he is one of those 50% of Americans that are stressed about student loans. So he says, I got to do something. I got to get out of this. I've got to knock this out as quickly as possible. But Manny recognizes that there is a better way to do money, that the financial order of operations is a thing that he should follow. And so he decides to follow the FOO. So this is what Allen does. Allen puts all of his extra margin, so $600 a month total, towards his student loan payoff. He's going to try to pay off the student loan as quickly as he can. Now, Manny does it a little bit differently. Manny says, okay, I know that I have a minimum student loan payment to pay this off over the course of 10 years. And if I'm going to pay this off in 10 years, my minimum monthly payment is going to be $298. So I'm going to do that. But instead of using the margin, instead of using that difference to increase my lifestyle, I'm going to take the difference between what Allen is paying off his student loans and what I have, and I'm going to invest that $302 a month. So one of them is going to pay it off as quickly as possible and then start investing. One of them is going to pay the minimum and invest the whole time.
What I think is interesting is from the outside looking in, these two people are exactly the same, meaning that they both have $600. We're not changing the dollar amounts. It's just the decision of how they're approaching each of these things. Average Allen, it really is going to be a debt crusader and say, you know what, this gives me anxiety. I'm going to blow through this as fast as possible. Manny the Mutant says, once again, pointing back to the financial order of operations, there's a better way to do money, and I'm going to still take that same sum of money that average Allen's using, but there is a better way to maximize this.
So let's look at the results. Let's see how this plays out. Well, we have Allen, who we're starting with, and he starts with a student loan balance of $29,400, and he's paying $600 on that every single month. So he actually knocks it off in less than half the time required for the student loan. It was a 10-year term, and he gets it paid off in less than 5 years. And then once he gets that paid off at that 55-month period, he then begins saving, and he's going to invest that $600 for the future. And as he does that, if we assume that he can earn 8% on average, at the end of the 10 years, he has paid off his student loans, and he has almost $50,000 saved up. Not too bad. Average Allen has done something pretty impressive. But was that the best decision? Let's now talk about Manny the Mutant. Let's talk about the one who follows some of the money guy rules. And Manny says, you know what? I recognize that my money can work really, really hard for me. So I'm going to pay off that $29,400 over the 10-year term. I'm just going to make the minimum payment. And with that margin that I'm saving, I'm going to begin investing that. Well, if you just think about what happens by the end of the 10 years, not only has Manny paid off his student loans, but he has $55,000 saved up, about $6,000 more than Allen had accumulated. What I think is really, really interesting, and this is my favorite part of this illustration, if you just think about Manny building up his dollars, he actually had enough in investments to pay off his outstanding student loan balance at 52 months. Remember, it took Allen 55 months to become debt-free. So if Manny's goal were to be debt-free, implementing this strategy of letting his dollars work for him actually got him to the position to be debt-free even faster than Alan got there.
You just said your favorite thing in this slide. Here's something I think that is somewhat of a contrarian take on this slide. A lot of people are going to see Manny ended up with a little over $55,000, but average Alan was just a little over $49,000. And they're going to say, well, wait a minute, guys. For just under $6,000, you're making slides and you're making all these. They're about the same. And that in a lot of ways, I guess, like I said, small decisions lead to big results. We're talking about a small difference that you can barely see what makes these people different. We're talking about less than $6,000. But if you let that additional money stay invested for the next 30 years. Small decisions become large sums of money, because check out this difference. If you didn't think little less than $6,000 was a big change, how about the fact that average Alan, his money grows to $542,000.
And that's great. That's wonderful.
It's great. And then this is the problem with the debt crusaders. They end up okay. I mean, because they, paying down debt, it's just that they don't get to maximize or build the opportunity of these small decisions of just allocating resources a little bit better. But Manny the Mutant gets it. And so his money grows to $604,000, or that's a $60,000 difference. Do you see how $6,000 quickly becomes $60,000 because that slight course change, that slight maximization actually yields tremendous long-term results?
Here's what happened. Manny recognized that every dollar he has in his command is incredibly powerful. He knows that every dollar he can deploy to work for him for his future can multiply over and over and over again. And if you want to know that as well, you can go out to moneyguy.com/resource. You can download our wealth multiplier resource, or you can even play with our wealth multiplier tool, or you can put in your age and put in either how much you're saving or how much you've accumulated, and it will show what your dollars can turn into. And when you begin recognizing that your dollars can be a powerful source in your wealth building journey, you can also start making financial mutant decisions just like Manny the Mutant did.